Ahoy there, Lorcana fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Camp Quest podcast. I'm Ian, and with me, as always, is Lindsay. We've got some really exciting stuff to talk about, especially because we've had such a big hiatus, and we're going to tell you all about why that was.
Yeah.
But we're back.
We missed you.
We did. We missed doing
We
this.
hope you missed us.
We have a nice little new set.
Also part of the lore.
I'll call it a set. We'll get into it. It's been wild, but we're back. We're going to be doing these episodes every other week, and so you'll be able to find them on the Camp Quest platform, not just the YouTube channel, but also all of the different, I guess, because we have them on like iTunes, we have them on like Google Podcasts, all of the larger podcasting mediums, I guess. Yeah.
Are we a media network now?
I don't think we qualify for that. But we're back, and we're excited to be back. So this week's segments, we're going to do a lore drop, including especially a lot of personal lore. Yeah. So that's fun.
Why we've been MIA for
too long.
3 months.
Yeah. And then, of course, we'll be looking at the Whispers in the Well set, taking a big picture look. Obviously, plenty of people have been out there doing card reviews. If you've been a member of the YouTube channel, you'll know that we've been doing deck lists, early deck lists, and stuff like that. But we just want to take that view of like, what are the big takeaways for the set? What do we think it's going to mean for the future of Lorcana? And then, of course, we're going to be previewing a new segment. One we just felt we wanted to mix it up a little bit, and so we're going to be previewing
a couple of fun new things.
We actually do, yeah. We have a few fun new things, including
we weren't just loafing around for 3 months.
We were planning. We said if we can't record, we got to figure out how to make this even more fun. And for us, I think that's going to be the new segment. Hear me out. So hear me out. But wait a minute, and then hear us out. To start us off, though, we've been doing cold, like, sort of icebreakers, and I thought, let's change it up a little bit, because we have this thing where, like, we're always complaining about cards.
Yeah, actually, this one was inspired by missing ramp many a times at Set Champs. And so that's when I was like, I want to cone of shame cards.
That's right. So we have a new little intro segment that we're calling the bulk bin. And so this is the segment where we start our episodes talking about which card did us dirty this week. Which card
therapeutic.
It needs to spend a week thinking about its actions in the bulk bin, and maybe, I don't know, every 10 episodes or so, we'll take a look back at all of the cards that ended up in the bulk bin. We'll pull them out like it's a time capsule. So, Lindsay, what card are you adding to the bulk bin this week?
So as you guys know, we're going to talk about Milwaukee in a second, but we went to Milwaukee. I'm going to be honest. I know we didn't get to talk about it much because we were MIA for most of Fabled, but I wasn't a huge fan of. I continued to play Blurple through the set. I didn't love this meta build of it, obviously partially because it was the victim of many a targeting.
That's true.
But the deck in general changed a little bit. So one of the biggest things is it added a very specific card that I hated, and that is Second Star to the Right. And the specific reason that this is in the bulk bin is because I can't tell you how many games I lost with this card stuck in my hand. I know that it also won me games. I'm not going to pretend that it didn't, but could Finders of Keepers done just a good, and I was running Finders Keepers, don't get me wrong, but like, I almost always would have rather seen Finders Keepers than Second Star to the Right. And so for that, it's in the bulk bin.
In the bulk bin. I'm gonna have my first entry is a card that I played Dogs pretty much all set for tournament play. I mean, I played lots of stuff all set, but I settled on Dogs. I had a lot of success with it. It did quite well for me. We'll talk about more about that. But my bulk bin card is a card that I added back into the deck after cutting it, and then it was dead for me the entire time I was playing in Milwaukee. It's not to say it was the wrong choice. Lindsay did encourage me to put it back in. But to be fair, I agreed with the assessment. And it was played in TFM Dan's list, right? So it's not like I'm crazy. But Heffalumps and Woozles, despite, I played 3 Blurples, and I crushed all of them, and this never once came up because everybody was just inking their Iagos against me. And so it was just one of those things where not only did this not come up and wasn't really useful, it also, I multiple times would top deck it in a scenario where I'm like, all I need is any one drop. any of my 28 1-drops, and I'm totally fine. I'm going to, blow this game wide open, and I would draw this card, and it would be really annoying, especially because in those scenarios, like, I can't exert my 2 drops because they'll just get challenged, which will defeat the purpose of playing a card anyways. So the Heffalumps and Woozles are going in the bulk bin.
We did get a trivia question right, though.
True. We went to a random trivia, and they had a Heffalumps and Woozles.
And it was a Heffalumps and Woozles themed question.
Yeah. So anyways, that is our fun new segment, Bulk Bin. We'll keep you updated on, maybe in 10 episodes or so.
There.
Yeah, what all ends up in our bulk bin. So okay, let's jump into the lore drop. So we already sort of spoiled some of the stuff by nature of us having this new set, but Lindsay, take us through our life over the last couple months.
So right before Fabled released, we went on vacation, and then we had a fantastic vacation. We went up to the Finger Lakes region, and we turned off our phones and we loafed around, but specifically we had a lot of fun playing a different game. So
yeah, we actually turned off our Lorcana for a week.
Yeah, we kind of turned off Lorcana because we were like, all right, a new set's coming out. Like, we had proxied some of the cards or whatever, but we were like, let's just take a break for a second. And so we set up a big game called Frosthaven.
Fantastic.
And fantastic game. So we played a lot of that. We visited some wineries. We had a grand old time.
I think we did about like 10 or so scenarios in Frosthaven, and we visited about 10 or so wineries.
Exactly. We got to balance. We got to be well-rounded individuals.
That's right. Yeah.
So nerds, but cultured.
Yes, that's right.
And so it's funny because we even recorded a podcast while we were on vacation. Like we recorded a special episode because we were right from the lake. It was very beautiful.
Sitting in rocking chairs on the porch by the water.
But the audio was really bad, so
the audio got corrupted. So yeah, I had to scrap it. Yep.
And then we came back from vacation straight into Fabled release day, and then Labor Day weekend. And right before we left for vacation, we found out that we had to move relatively suddenly. We kind of before our lease was up, it was a whole thing. And so we moved. So we got back from vacation and we moved. So that is why you're seeing us in a new setup. We should be here for a little bit longer. We slept together. We had to put the cards away. We didn't get a lot of time to play with the new set. And one other major life thing happened. Do you want to spoil that one?
No, I think it has to be you.
We got engaged!
Woo!
Yeah, Taylor Swift wasn't the only one who got engaged this summer. So, we actually had to re-record the intro because Ian called me his fiance on the first one.
Yeah, I did.
And we didn't want to spoil it.
I was like, oh, wait, that spoils the fun thing.
Pretty exciting news. I will be talking with my hands more often. It was fun to play in DLC and, lots of...
and I'm going to play this card.
Right. So, some shiny new jewelry was acquired, and so we're in the midst of wedding planning. So if we disappear, it might be because we ran off and got married.
Let's hopefully we can handle both things at once. All right. No, it was a crazy couple months. Yeah. And also we had to I had to go on a work trip.
Yeah.
We had to visit family a couple times. So it was just
on top of all of those things, there was just a lot of life things happening for us to navigate. And sometimes you got to prioritize the life stuff. So, but we're back. Life is hopefully slowing down for a little bit before we get off into the holiday season. So,
but it's not that we never played Lorcana.
Correct.
We actually played
a lot of Lorcana.
A lot more than maybe.
We maybe played so much Lorcana that we didn't have time to record a Lorcana podcast.
That's true. We were trying to go hard here because we had set champs.
Yeah.
Which we were prioritizing and trying to, there's fortunately for us, as we've mentioned in previous episodes, we have an awesome large community here in Richmond, Virginia, home of the next U.S. Disney Lorcana Challenge. We're very excited for that. But also, we have 8-9 stores that will run set champs. And so there's a lot of opportunities to play, a lot of opportunities to practice as we were getting ready for DLC Milwaukee.
Yeah.
We went and we played. I played in 4, you played in 3. No, you played in 4 as well.
I did.
You played in 4 as well.
Yep.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So you tell us how you did. Tell us how things went for you.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I stuck with Blurple, but it was a little bit of a trickier meta because it was kind of the BDIF. Like a lot of people were talking about Blurple. A lot of people were teching for Blurple. And I think the deck changed a little bit. Like it became more of a control deck. Not that it wasn't. I preferred the style that was a little bit more mid-range.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of hard. It didn't feel like the Blurple I was used to. I really miss my Mim Foxes.
Yeah. Goats.
And goats and just like the game, the deck sort of, it became very predictable. And I think what I love so much about Blurple is it really could showcase how creative you could get. I had a few moments where I feel like my edge of beating Blurple entering set champs shined out a little bit.
Yeah.
We played, like we said, we played in 4. I ended up in top cut in 3 out of the 4 of those. Missed it by bubbled out on the first one, but I ended up getting second in 2 of those events, which was huge. This is the best I've done in a tournament so far, as far as the set champs go. So it was a bummer that I didn't get to bring home a Maleficent mat, but hopefully...
Yeah, you had not been in the finals up to
Correct,
that point because
yeah.
you did it twice this season.
Right. I had been in top 8 and the highest I'd ever gotten was the top 4 cut. And so, yeah, I got second twice and I was in top 4 in one of the tournaments. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I if it's
played.
not spoiled by the fact there's a Maleficent mat behind your head.
I think that's in frame. Maybe it's not in frame. Oh, it is in frame. Yeah. Okay. If you know what the bottom little corner of this is,
I can't see what you can see.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did win a set champs.
Sorry,
So no, I did. I'm proud of it. I played dogs, so I got on the dogs train a little bit ahead of the curve, I'd say. It was starting to do well behind the scenes in some of the it was topping events, but not all over the place, right? And everything, everybody had not kind of gotten wise to it yet. And so I think that definitely gave me a little bit of an edge, especially because I was practicing it a couple weeks before a lot of other people were practicing, before Bologna, where it kind of like popped off. I had been playing it quite a bit then. And so then when it got into set champ season, I think we went to the first event we went to, I was the only person playing it in the room of like 16 or 17 people. It did fantastic. My build changed a little bit throughout, but I went to 4 set champs and I made top 4 in all 4 of them. And so, really happy with how it performed. I went undefeated in Swiss 2 out of the 4 times. It really was a super effective deck, I think, and I really enjoyed, sort of the intricacy of the lines. So yeah, I'm optimistic. A little bit of a spoiler, I'm optimistic for it in the future as well. Not really what I expected to like going into this meta, but certainly was pretty happy with it. And then, we both played those same decks to the Milwaukee DLC.
Yeah, we did.
We road tripped, which I think was interesting.
I think it's about a total, if we were to drive it straight, it's about 14 hours, give or take. We opted to break the trip up. We'd originally planned to spend 3 days traveling, but we had some life stuff happen and had to trim that down to just 2 travel days. So we left, we drove straight to Indianapolis, which was about 9 hours for us. And then we got to enjoy Indianapolis for 24 hours or so. And then we headed up to Milwaukee from there. So we were in Milwaukee Thursday night. So it was great because it gave us all day Friday to like rest and be in the city. We
walked all around. We
got to visit. Yeah.
To the waterfront.
Awesome city. So
some great beer, some good cheese curds.
Yep,
that's what stereotypically. Known for. Yeah, but we had a great time.
We could see the Coors Miller sign from our Airbnb that we stayed at. So we were pretty close to the convention center, so we never ended up walking because
we walked there, but we would like
from all around.
When it was late, we would get an Uber back because it was like a 15-minute walk, which was
fine
in the day.
2-minute Uber, so
yeah, it was fine in the day. It got cold at night, and I think we weren't really I did not pack a thick enough jacket. I kind
Yeah.
of was like, whatever. It
had been very warm here
Yeah.
in Richmond before we went up there.
So silly Southerners, we didn't know. But yeah, so we had a great time. Actually, like in the city and seeing the city.
Yeah.
Like we both walked away from it like, man, well, Milwaukee feels like a super underrated city. Like, really underrated. We had a great time. Everybody was super nice. Everybody we talked to in bars and breweries and stuff was like super chill, like good vibes.
The good Midwestern charm.
Yeah, for sure.
The last time I was at Milwaukee, it was freezing and never rose above zero. So this was
better experience.
Much better experience.
Yeah. So we had a fun time. We played the main event on Saturday. I think it went relatively well by the standard of the only other DLC we played in was Atlanta, which was a little bit of a mess, admittedly. I think everybody knows that. So we played in the first one ever,
Right. And the first U.S. one of this season, too. So.
Right. And so, first U.S. one here. Pastimes Games, I think, did a mostly good job. There was a few things I could pick at. The first couple rounds went slow, but I think, overall, it ran pretty quickly after that.
Yeah. It definitely ran smoother than Atlanta did, but that's to be expected.
Yeah.
There was a few kind of like with side events and just general flow of people in traffic that was a little confusing. But I definitely think it's clear that they know a little bit more of what they're doing.
True.
So, and that's what happens after you've hosted as many DLCs and world events and whatnot. So to be expected.
Yeah, they're definitely improving. I think. We definitely would do it again. I went 4-3. Lindsay went 3-4. So we both
we dropped.
Yeah, we both got our Mulans. There's no reason to play the last round, so we just dipped. And so we,
we were very hungry by then.
Yeah,
it was late in the day.
Yeah, we powered through a lot of snacks, but we were just, you burn a lot of calories sitting there, brain, burning for 8 rounds or 7 rounds in this case. So that was fun. I think, I can speak for myself, but I think we're both a little disappointed in the overall results that we had. Obviously we were happy to get the promo card, which was, great. I think that, it's tough when I started off with like an 0-2 record and just like tried to climb back into it, but I hit, I was playing dogs. I hit a mirror match, which is just really who hits under the sea first. And then I hit a Baja Blast, which is can I rip there under the sea with Ursula's? And, unfortunately in both of those, there's just things where like you can do everything right and still lose, which happened. And so then tried to rattle off. And unfortunately I did hit, 3 blurples and was able to, the matchup that not only am I favored into? I'd say lightly favored, but some people would say heavily favored.
Yeah,
depends who you ask. At least against Lindsay, I would only say lightly favored because she really figured out how to play against it.
Honestly, it would have been great to see dogs.
yeah. But rattled off 3 wins against Blurple. I got a win against Amber Steel, and then eventually got knocked out by a Purple Steel, where I think I played really well, but I won game 1 on the draw. Which is amazing against Purple Steel, to be honest. And then game 2, I lost at 19. So, 1 or 2 things go a little bit differently in that game. I think my opponent played 3 Calhouns in that game. So it just was catching him up too fast once I had to hit the go button, right? And then I think in game 3, I sent 7 cards looking for any of my win conditions. Tramp. My opponent was playing a pretty low to the ground build, lots of 1 attack, 2 attacks, and was sort of flooding the board more than some of the builds I had seen. And so I was like, oh man, maybe an Under the Sea can win me the game. Obviously a Tramp, a Shift Lady, whatever. And I tossed 7 cards looking for any of those, and I found none of those. And so I just sat there for, about 6 or 7 turns, playing 1-drops and 2-drops and having nothing to do with them, which is a little bit of a bummer way to get knocked out of the event, but that's the risk you run when you play a combo deck like dogs. So yeah, it was a good experience. I wish it had gone a little bit better for me, but I did feel pretty confident in the pick of the day, as evidenced by 2 of them being in top cut. And then also just, I do like the deck. It is satisfying to play and to find weird lines, to surprise people. The amount of people that were like, and it's funny, like I'm sure had I gone to day 2, this would have stopped, but the amount of people I played that were like, wait, let me read that, wait, what does that card do? Merryweather, what is this? You know what I mean? Just like there was a lot of card picking up of like, like everybody knew what Big Tramp did. You know, everybody knew what like Shift Lady did. But some of the 1s and 2s that you're playing in there, you know, especially the ones where you got all those weirdos, you know, they're like, oh, what's that? So anyways.
Right, and you open with a Bobby and they're like, oh, it's Baja Blast.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, so you could actually
so they're like, okay, fine.
Yeah, Ink Bobby, play Bobby. Oh, it's Baja Blast.
Oh, it's Baja Blast.
And you're like, let me introduce you to 2 Daisies. Or a Merfolk. So, anyways, it was good.
I had, you know, it's funny. I actually think that my deck was really more unpredictable because I lost matches that should have been favored matchups for me and won matchups that should have not been. So, I played a lot of mirror match, or actually I played 2 mirror matches.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think it was only 2 mirror matches. The first one I got a win on. The second one, you know, who finds second start of the right first.
Yeah,
so who can win the evasive wars? And it wasn't me.
Yeah, who misses ramp?
Who misses ramp?
Yeah.
And then I have a great story though about, this is a testament of like, it's important to like get seated, get settled, and like get your head right, because we had a rush and I was, you know, trying to find my table, sat down quickly. I had a friend who was texting me about coming over to the house to check on the count while we were away. And so as they call the time, I go to pick up my deck and it just flips over and cards go everywhere. And so we had a big 52 card pickup and have to like real quick
60 card
pickup.
Thankfully,
count my
had
deck
to count the
quick.
deck, yeah.
And like I didn't want to get accused of delaying time, and then we start. I mulligan 7 for looking for a ramp. Still don't find it. First 3 cards are Hades. Second start of the right. So it was a lot of ink and pass. And like 3 or 4 turns into the game, I get an alert from my watch that's telling me that our security system has gone off because the friend showed up to check on the cat and I forgot to turn it off. So I had to pull like, I'm so sorry. I need to pick up my phone so that the police don't show up at my house. And I was like, don't worry, you're going to win this game. And so he was very nice. He was from the Midwest. He was like a sweet old dad. So
I have to
testament
say,
to like, but it threw me off for the rest of the match. So I was
understandably,
I could have maybe won in a different circumstances, but so
I have to say, just while we're on the main event topic, I've played in big events like this in a bunch of games. And this was by far the one that I had the most enjoyable interactions with players.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I've played in Pokemon and Star Wars Unlimited, and before that, you know, some other card games, Versus System and L5R. And while there have been great people in each of those, to have like to play 7 rounds and then side events, you know, as well, and to just continually run into people that are polite, kind. Most of them are want to chat and ask, you know, hey, where are you from? And oh, wow, that's so cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just have this nice little conversation, even though they're your opponent. You know, you win and they handle it well. You know, you lose and they're not gloating. They're chill. They're having a good time. Like, I don't know. I had the best experience with other players that I've ever had at one of these big events. So I just think the Lorcana community as a whole like deserves a shout out there.
For sure.
And I know there's jerks out there. Like every game has jerks, but like the ratio of jerk to chill people seems to be a lot better in Lorcana than in other games.
Yeah. But speaking of side events, I actually think that the side events, we played a really fun side event and we turned out we did a couple of other ones, but like we played a team trios event, which was fun. 3 people versus 3 people. All ink colors had to be represented.
Yes.
And so you kind of you got to play against some kind of interesting decks.
Yeah, you had to stick Ruby somewhere.
You had to stick Ruby somewhere. Ruby had to be played.
Yeah.
And so our friend Chris, who's also from the Richmond area, was also there. And so we were messaging on Discord before, and we're like, hey, do we want to try and do this? And unfortunately, we didn't find this side event until Ian and I were already on the way. So we couldn't bring, like I would have loved to play my Mulan Ruby Steel, but we didn't bring our cards. We mostly just brought what we had to test against and whatnot. So we had to kind of like build it. But Chris brought Amber Steel. Steel, and so I played Amber Steel. Ian went back to his roots and played Ruby Amethyst.
Let's go. It was so fun.
And
It was so fun.
And Chris played Baja Blast.
Yes.
And so we had a lot of fun. It was 3 rounds. So you play... Each person it's a 1v1, but you can communicate. So, like, I had not played Amber Steel much. So a couple of times I turn over to Ian and I'm like, all right, does this mulligan look good to you?
Yeah.
What are my lines here kind of thing? And same thing when Ian was playing, we could look at what he was doing.
Oh, yeah. And it was helpful. It's cool because you sit down in a row against another team sitting down in a row,
right.
but you play whoever's across from you, and you don't know what they're playing.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I mean, and
it was great. I mean, everyone we played, it was so delightful. It was so fun. Like,
yes.
we were all enjoying the format.
Yeah.
We ended up winning 2 of our 3 matches, which was really cool. And the last match, it was funny because it was truly just, they had all of each person, and it's random. We have no idea
we don't know
who's
what
playing
they're playing what.
So you just sit down across from someone, and like, they each sit down and they're each playing all of our worst matchups.
Yeah, it was
so
literally
like, you could have, if any of them had shuffled, would have been fine.
We would have been in a better spot, but it was like, I'm playing Ruby Amethyst, I play into a Blurple, you're playing Amber Steel, you play into Ruby Steel Challengers, you know, and then our Baja player, Chris, plays into dogs, and the dogs just hits Ursula over and over on him. It was just brutal. And so we're like, oh no. So we did lose our 3rd round, but like, even in the loss, it was still really enjoyable and a cool thing to like have that table talk back and forth, trying to figure out how to get wins where you could. And
we all had a super hype moment when Ian pulled a Mulan triple shot
top deck Mulan
off a top deck with an easy, like, with a target on board. It was, you know, I got such an adrenaline rush I had to walk away because we were playing for the win.
It felt like felt like such an amazing top deck stream. Like, you wish it was on stream. You're like, oh, the Chef Mulan to kill all 3 things.
I don't care who's playing for Golden Mickeys. We're over here just playing for bragging rights.
That's right. Oh man, it was a blast. And I think that, you know, there was some other fun formats. You know, obviously you had the pack rush going on all day. Everybody, you know, playing that whenever they've got a free, you know, hour or so. But like, you know,
turned out we got some tickets. We brought home some promos to make it all
worthwhile. We did. Got a couple
promos.
Got a hat.
Yeah.
So that was very exciting. I had wanted to get the hat at Atlanta, and we ended up getting Rapunzel promos instead, which was fair. Like, fair play. Yeah. Rapunzel promo is pretty good, but I'm a hat man. I like to have the hat. So anyways, we had a great time at DLC Milwaukee, but I think it's time we go ahead and transfer over to talking about the new stuff, right? Enough out with the old, in with the new. Whispers in the Well drops this weekend. So that means
shaking things up a bit.
You can be going out to your local, friendly local game stores, playing in set releases, usually sealed. We're not going to tell you anything really like about sealed. There's some great videos out there with tips for how to be successful in your sealed events. So go check out those videos from amazing other creators. We're not going to get into that right here, but what we're going to do is sort of go over like the big takeaways for the set and the implications it's going to have for Lorcana over the next couple months.
Yeah, I'm so ready to open packs of cards that are not reprints.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh. No more dragons.
I'm very grateful. I'm so grateful that we have opened a lot of product, both from purchasing and from winning in set champs and prize support for events. But man, am I ready to look at some new faces. Yeah,
I mean, we pulled just so many Mal dragons.
We comically pulled 2 at once, like after
one pack.
In one pack. Yeah, 1 legendary and 1 shiny legendary.
I think we have a playset of base set.
Anybody needs some Mal dragons, let us know. We'll send them to you for free.
Well, I mean, then there's promos, so they're not worth anything.
Right.
It was brutal. And you know that may be the case here with this next set because it's also going to have a legendary as the promo card. But I will say, at the very least, it's not a reprint.
Correct. It's not a reprint.
Yeah. But Lindsay, you want to take us through the new mechanics here?
Yeah. So in Whispered in the Wells, we are being introduced to a new mechanic called Boost. And so this one is actually kind of interesting to me. It's still kind of, I feel like I'm going to have to see it played to wrap my head around it. Mm-hmm. So do you want to walk us through like kind of how it works?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I got you. So, I judge at our local league and stuff like that. I've been having a lot of people asking me about
Ian pays a lot more attention to the rules and reads cards.
I have to, or else, then I look like a chump and I don't know what's going on. So, Boost is a new mechanics that's sort of tied into a secondary mechanic, which is having a card underneath something. Now that counts for shift too. So like obviously if you have a card that is shifted, there is a card underneath it. So any card that calls out if you have a character with a card underneath it, that also applies to shift characters, not just boosted characters.
Right.
So it should be noted. But boost is characters will have a boost and a number, and that lets you once per turn, even on the turn you play it, assuming you can pay for it, you pay ink equal to that number, and you take the top card of your deck. You may not look at it. This is like a new updated ruling. Any card going from a face down position into another face down position is not permitted to be looked at. So that means ink. That means underneath a card from your deck. Any of those going from face down to face down cannot be looked at. So you take that card from the top of your deck, put it underneath that card. It doesn't do anything in and of itself, but every character that has boost on it, or every card that has boost on it, will have some sort of text suggesting a benefit it has either when you boost it or while there's a card underneath it. And so boosting, again, in and of itself is just very simple. You can only do it once per turn. You pay the cost. You put the top card under. When that character is destroyed or banished, right, that whole stack will go to the discard pile.
Yeah.
So
at that point, you'll be able to look at the card that's underneath.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
And similarly, if that card is bounced to your hand, you'll get the card underneath
That's
it.
Underneath it as well.
As well. Yeah, shuffled into the deck with your welcome. It'll all go to the same place. It'll get inked if they Hades a card with that had been boosted and has a card underneath. That's a little extra ink for you. So yeah, there's some interesting components at play there. And so there's all sorts of effects that are out there on these cards that say, while there's a card underneath it, I get an extra questing pip or evasive or whatever. And some of them do things like, whenever you pop a card under there for the first time, that Simba that's in the starter deck gets a cool effect. So it's a little bit different. And there's all these new cards that are going like, if you have a character with a card underneath it, or boost a character that has boost, right? And so that there's some unique mechanics flying around.
It'll definitely be interesting in how it'll change sort of the run of the game. The other cool new mechanic is the gargoyle set. So very excited about all of that, but specifically the Stone by Day, which I think this is the first time we've seen like kind of a card effect be on multiple cards.
Yeah, at least not to this extent.
Yeah, and it's remind me, it's if the player has 3 cards or more, that the characters cannot ready.
Right.
So, which is interesting because they're all these big stat sticks.
Yeah, huge.
So big bodies, they hit hard because they're gargoyles. And so I love the lore. It's funny, I was actually watching a video about the bringing in the lore of the show and the Gargoyles franchise into really kind of bringing it in with the characters. So I'm excited to see how that works. Yeah. We've fiddled around with some early gargoyle effects. So
it's really easy to lose track of. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
when you're playing in sealed, pay very close attention to if you've got gargoyles in play or if your opponent does.
Especially in sealed when you're typically running a few cards in your hand.
Well, and that makes them quite valuable. Right. But if you do, if you're sitting on 3 cards, you might consider inking one just for getting it out of your hand to make sure that your big gargoyle that's going to quest or challenge can ready. Right. And also make sure your opponent is keeping up with that too. It's one of those things. It's like checking your locations for lore. Like you got to do it, and it can mess up the game state if you don't catch it. So that's something to be aware of.
Yeah. And so another thing coming out of Whispers of the Well is there's a lot of chase legendaries.
A lot.
And I don't know if it just feels that way because Fabled had a lot of reprints that, luckily we'd been in the game a little bit longer, so we had play sets of most of the originals. And so it feels exciting to be I want all of them. They're all great. They are. I want a play set of each. So we've already talked about this might hurt the bank account, this set.
Yeah, so. Seriously. It's funny too because I think the last couple sets before rotation kind of felt like there was 1, maybe 2 legendaries that were worth getting, and a lot of binder fodder or a lot of cards that you're
I could see niche. Maybe, depending on how the game is in the future.
And it felt like an intentional thing that I personally praised them for was them seemingly printing more niche legendaries, powerful effects, but with more conditions or whatever. They seem to have gone back to sort of that early, sets 1 through 3 or 4, where the legendaries are the big powerhouse defining cards, good stuff cards that can be applied to a lot of different archetypes. And so, for better or for worse, I think for pulling cards, certainly exciting. For bringing the average cost of decks down, I'm
Maybe
a little
not.
worried about that. These are the cards that are like the equivalent of Return of the Floodborn, right? So the Tragic Beasts, right? The Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwoods, the Ursula Deceiver of All. These are the cards that will define archetypes for months, a year, over a year, right? They'll be in rotation. And so I understand this. Almost 2 years. Yeah. So I understand it, but at the same time, I'm also like, this is going to hurt the wallet. I think if you are somebody that wants to play lots of different things. Now, obviously, if you only play 1 or 2 colors, sick. You get the ones that are for your color, and you just move it on. But for people like us, and for a lot of members of the community that do aspire to play everything, I think this is going to be one of the harder sets to get everything you want.
It was hard enough to get a playset of Dumbos when you don't pull any.
I mean, you've got.
I mean, we watched a thing right before set champs that was like picking your set champs kind of deck, and it was like, can you afford Dumbos was a question, because if you can't afford a playset of Dumbos, or you haven't pulled a playset of Dumbos,
I think that was Harlan Sweet's video.
It
was very funny.
You're not playing purple.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the downsides.
There are 4 legendaries that I guarantee are going to be meta. There's another 2 that I'm pretty sure are going to be meta, and one that's like, I think it's niche but powerful. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, so 6 to 7 cards that like are going to be showing up in meta lists. And so it's like, we'll see how the prices of singles end up, but that is definitely something. And if you are a newer player, come into a sealed event for the first time, welcome. That's really exciting. Yeah. I would definitely just go ahead and take a look at what people are saying are the cards. I'm not saying people are going to swindle you, but you do want to know what you got on opening night, because a ton of trading happens. And usually that's the only time that trading tends to happen these days is
in the beginning of
the beginning of a set, because all of the experienced competitive players are going to go buy the singles they're missing.
Right.
So, if you're trading early on, know what you got. Hey, I pulled a Cinderella. Okay, well, that's going to be worth some big money. Make sure you get your money's worth. And advice I always give to newer players early in the set, if you really love Lorcana, you know for sure that you're gonna get into it, maybe trade away that big money legendary for a play set of genies and a play set of Elsas or something like that. People like us have a lot of extras of sort of the core staple, like rares and super rares that do run up the price a little bit. Docs, Tinkerbells, Genie, stuff like that. So we're often totally happy to, trade away the things we have extras for, for the things that are new. Even if they're not legendaries, we might give you a better deal just on,
because of what we need. I think, and another tip for while I'm thinking about it, just a tip for players who are getting into the game. We had a friend who's joined our league and has been participating, named Caleb, and he actually
shout out to
Caleb. And loyal follower of the channel.
Yeah, funniest story, like for our tiny little channel, and
here we are at a sealed event for Fabled, and Ian gets recognized for, it was like,
he's like, do you have a YouTube channel? I'm like,
yep. And he goes, I actually kind of got inspired into the game because I found your content. And so he joined our league, and he's a former Magic player, so he's got some TCG experience. Yeah. But he was really smart. He looked at the meta decks, and he looked at them and was like, that's a deck that I think I could get most of the cards to. I'm going to invest in one deck, and then I'm going to commit to it for the season. So rather than overwhelming yourself by trying to get all of the legendaries because you want to, and like, again, we're a 2-people unit, so it's more cards that we need, but
True.
like there is an incentive there to maybe committing to a deck or two that you're going to want, and then focusing on that way. If I'm not going to play Emerald and you pull the legendary Emerald, you want to be able to trade it away for an Amethyst.
Right. And it worked for him. He picked up the game. Now granted, he's got TCG experience before, got on the deck, practiced it the entire set, and then went to a bunch of set champs and won one. So that's huge, and I think that speaks to a smart way to get into the game, especially knowing that you want to be in the game. It's one thing. I never tell people to go out and buy stuff if they're just feeling it out. But once you like it, you got to be smart about your collecting, because at this stage, there's just so much out there. You want to make sure you're getting a good use of your money, unless you just got money to burn, in which case, go nuts. Yeah, you do you. Like, you live your best life.
But like, there's always ways. I feel like every deck has like steps. Like, you can do the budget version. You can do the And
usually once per set, I will put out a budget. Like, deck lists video. So if you follow the channel, like I had a video do quite well by our channel standards, which was just budgetizing meta decks. So like, you could play a relatively affordable. Dogs was dirt cheap, to be honest. Like, Dogs was really cheap to play. Blurple was not, but Purple Steel, you could build a pretty solid version. Blue Steel, you could build a pretty solid version. So there's ways to do that. Just look out for that sort of content so that how to be both competitive, but also thoughtful with your money. So, but just to finish out talking through Whispers, I do want to throw out there that like I would say we lambasted the designers for their take on Ruby, and how we basically just spent an entire set with Ruby being as close to unplayable as any color has ever been in competitive Lorcana. I can't say entirely unviable, because Ruby Amethyst was close, right?
Yeah.
But like,
it's fringe.
It's very fringe, right?
And had very weak matchups into meta relevant decks.
Right. So taking an L into Blurple is real not good.
Yeah.
And so anyways, point is, we were kind of looking at this set like, this is a litmus test. Tell us what your vision for Ruby is.
Yeah.
And not just for Ruby, but in this case, one of the big takeaways is that they are changing the way that stats are being distributed. Big time. Like, overstated meat sticks, as we call them here on this channel, are in vogue.
The reign of the overstated meat sticks. We got some thick boys out there. We'd
only ever seen a 2-cost 3/3 once. Which is the
and
Mr.
that card
Smee.
Was broken.
And that card was just a permanent staple in now there's no card as good as Mr. Smee, but there's a lot of new 2-cost 3/3s, 3-cost 4/4s. There's even a new 5-cost 4/7 or 4-cost 4/7 in steel, which is just nuts.
And isn't there a Ruby with Challenger that makes
there's a 3-cost 6/3 Reckless. There's an Aladdin 3-cost 4/4. So Ruby's getting the majority of them. So clearly we can identify there is a design
single target removal.
Yes, so supposedly
by running into it.
By attacking. So Ruby, the single target removal color, is actually the stats color. And we can see they got 3 separate 2-cost 3/3s. They have 3 choices for 2-cost 3/3s, which is just wild. And so the gargoyles obviously are a component of that. I would not expect there to be this much stats everywhere all the time going forward, but clearly they've identified that in Ruby, Steel, and a little bit of Amber, that like they want to give you stats. They want those colors to feel physically dominant on the board, and by doing that, they're sort of pulling back a little bit on the power of early game kill cards like Fire the Cannons and Strength. Even pulling back on some of the stuff that they're adding to this set, which is early with low attack removal. So we had Under the Sea. Well, now a lot of decks are going to have better options against Under the Sea. A lot of Under the Sea decks are going to need to find a way to lower attack a little more frequently than you could do before. And I also think that like we've got some new cards like the new Headless Horseman legendary, which is a fantastic addition, but in a weird way, they've sort of already added answers to it, where if a deck with Headless Horseman is doing really well in the metagame, what decks can do is trade some of their 2 costs out for 2 costs that are higher statted. And so we are seeing that across not just the 2 cost spot, though that is the most noticeable, but all the way up the curve for certain colors. And I think that that's something that is a big design alarm going off, saying this is part of what we identify these colors to be, in their core identity.
Well, and you also have brought back some single target removals in Amber you've got World's Greatest Criminal Mind. So you've got support characters and you've got World's Greatest Criminal Mind. You're like, I only need to support you one or two are looking much better. And the Minnie Mouse that every time on quest is basically World's Greatest Criminal Mind. So you've now given kind of Amber, which is typically a relatively weak color, has some single target removal now.
No, and that's a great point.
It's always had it, but it's stronger now.
Yeah, right. That's a really good point. One I wasn't going to mention, so props to you, because like in a weird way, by bringing the power of like the average unit up, you're adding validity to the cards that were like more fringe before, like Criminal Minds,
right?
And this new mini from last set. So that's really cool. And I also just think that like you've got all of these, for just speaking on Criminal Minds, like you've got all of these huge new units that they're adding in.
Yeah.
Demona and Goliath being the 2 biggest ones, which you're going to see a lot of play, I think. And those are 5 or 6 attack each, which means that like you are just like, before you were wiping Clarabelles off the board with ease,
right?
But there wasn't a lot of targets that you could just detonate with a Criminal Minds, and now there's just so much more. I also think you're going to see cards like Namari like back in the metagame, because we're going to see these. You need these big stat blocks now to combat a lot of those cards. So yeah, really really important to note that. I also sort of started touching on Under the Sea, but like
board wipes are back. And
more and better.
I think there's definitely more and better board wipes. We have had this conversation many a times, and I never thought that I would miss the day. I never thought you would hear me say how much I miss B prep.
Yeah.
Because the board wipes are back, but they are all very one-sided board wipes. So it does change the way that you have to play. So, because you have to hold back cards. You can't sit there and not quest with cards for turn. I mean, I think a lot of what we saw in this meta is there's a lot of just sitting there playing chicken until somebody's willing to turn their cards to the right. And now you've got either Demonas who are going to exert all characters, or you've got these board wipes that are just lurking at any point in time. So,
I think it's fair to say as well that while Demona is not legally a board wipe, it's about as close as you can get to it for a purple, which has a lot of, exert and stuff, but like the ability to exert everything, even if it has ward, which is a big one, like that's wild. And I think that not only do I think Demona is going to be fantastic, but it does serve. If you have a pre-established board of challengers, it serves as a pseudo board wipe in the same way that like Mulan can serve as it's more situational, but
powerful.
Right. And so we also have obviously the one that's just on the tip of everyone's tongue right now, Malicious, Mean, and Scary plus Prince Philip. Prince Philip's been in the game for a long time, but green.
Everybody was trying to come up with the deck. They were like, "We have the deck one day," and he is here.
Yeah, it just needed a way to damage everything consistently, and not now. They have a way to damage everything consistently, and it's internal to green, so you don't have to just go to steel for it, which is what people try to do with like Tinkerbell for the longest time. It's internal to green. It's a song, which means it can be sung by a
ward character.
It can be sung by like your shift target that has ward that can just sit there until you're ready to go.
Yep.
It's a little
you got it set up.
It's a little crazy. And it also obviously can be sung once you get to those higher ink totals. It can be sung by anything, and then you just slam Prince Philip without shifting it. Right. Spreading the damage and then detonating everything. It's really cool. Like this was what Prince Philip like didn't have before. Now it has it, and so now there's a legitimate new like late game board wipe.
Right.
I think that you were starting to kind of talk about the nature of board wipes and like how to play around them.
Yeah.
Obviously, with this, you can play things like Ursula or the new Mowgli and try to snipe those combo pieces out of the hand. You also, I think Demona is a natural counter because you can remove that warded.
Finding ways to get around ward, trying to get rid of any
shift
targets. Or singers.
Yeah, I think, but the thing that concerns me, and you were starting to reference this, is that like before, when you had when you had Be Prepared, Sisu was sort of the like antithesis to this, because Sisu was our, along with Under the Sea, which was fringe play, was the one-sided board wipe that you just dreaded to see, right? But when it came to Be Prepared, it was that thing of like, okay, you're taking a turn off to reset the board state. I can play around that because I can make sure that like I'm holding resources back. I'm ready to play around that. Okay, you B prep me. Now I redevelop and I try to extend my hand advantage. You B prep me again. Hopefully I built a hand advantage. I can keep playing onto the board, and we reset until someone takes the lead. The problem with one-sided board wipes is that it invalidates that line of countering, of just saying, hey, I can't stop you from playing the board wipe, but I can rebuild as the aggressor while you then try to find your next answer. And that doesn't exist when you play one-sided board wipes, because especially with Prince Philip, the big concern here is like you're actually not only you're wiping the board, you're playing a 6/6 evasive the quest for 3.
Right.
Wild. So very, very, very strong. And it like, again, because you can't do that thing where like I'm just going to rebuild onto the board.
Right.
Like the only way that you get out of a hole where you just got one-sided board wiped is if you have cards that make an immediate impact on the board the turn they're played. Things like Hades, right? Like Maleficent Dragon. But there's not a lot of those in the game right now.
Right.
And so that is the thing that when we go into this next format, like how are people solving for the Prince Philip? I think there's no way it's not present in a deck. I think that blue-green probably can use it the best. I do think red green actually has a sneaky sort of way to leverage it, right? Especially alongside with like things like Maui Shark or Max Goof to sing it from the discard pile. Like, so it can be in the grave and you can still use Mean and Scary. So like there's some cool stuff. There's also this new spooky site, which I feel like
which is a two-sided board wipe.
Yes.
More sort of.
Yeah, and it's situational, right?
Yeah.
So it's a 6-cost uninkable that inks all of the 3 costs or lower into their player's inkwell. So it's an anti-aggro card specifically. And it doesn't care about stats, which is the unique thing, because a lot of these early game things like Under the Sea, Sisu, they did care about the stats.
Right.
These do not care. You can play all your overstated meat sticks, and if they're 3 attack or 3 cost or less, they're going into the inkwell, which of course has pros and cons.
Basically the entire dog's deck.
Yeah, the entire dog's deck. Yeah. Well, you're racing to hit this now,
28 1-drops.
But it's cool because it's in blue, which blue hasn't had a board wipe before.
It's true.
And so, this is opening up some different angles.
Into the Unknown was going to be the board wipe, but we got a
spooky
great
site.
Into the Unknown.
It's not a song, and that's probably a good thing.
Yes, I agree.
But it now means blue decks that are not, historically it was like Ruby decks had the board wipes and green decks have the board wipes. Well, now a blue on its own has it, which of course can go with Ruby or Emerald, but can be used in Steel or Amber or whatever. So that's really cool. I'm not that worried about Spooky Sight. I think that it's going to be a card that like is index just so you don't lose to aggro.
Right.
But I don't think it's the kind of build around card that something like you have to build into Prince Philip. You have to build into Under the Sea.
Yeah.
And speaking of Under the Sea, I just want to throw out there, while nothing changed Under the Sea, there is this new Goofy, and it's only going to really be relevant in like Amber Emerald.
Yeah.
But this new Goofy plus Under the Sea is a little bit like cool.
Yeah.
Because of his ability to like come into play -1 everything.
Yeah.
And when he quests, so if he's already in play, you can -1 everything. But he's a shift as well. So if you have a smaller Goofy on the board, and there's some great Amber Goofies, actually a couple good green ones too, if you're willing to pay like 5, you can put those Goofies down, shift -1 everything Under the Sea with this new shifted Goofy because he's an 8-drop. So like that does create the potential that maybe there's an Amber Emerald deck that can use Under the Sea better than other decks that
Right.
have a hard time maximizing the value of Under the Sea in an efficient way.
Right.
This can do it pretty efficiently. And
The
again,
old Kita deck.
yeah, I mean, a lot like
Yeah.
the Kita.
Not quite as
not quite as good.
aggressive either, as like Kita was knocking everything down, but yeah.
And it should be noted, we already have like the blueprint for these kinds of decks with the big dogs
Right.
build that actually, I think one of them went undefeated at
Right.
Milwaukee. But and I actually have played against them here and there. They're really interesting because they give up the speed of Sea Dogs or Chroma Dogs in exchange for a little bit more versatility, and so maybe we see that shell able to take the more true control angle as opposed to this mid-range value game. So anyways, all that to say, more and better board wipes, that's a big thing that is going to shape the metagame going forward, and so I just think be prepared. The last thing is, and then we'll make this one quick, items are back, and I think that this is the key here. They're better balanced. And I don't mean that in the like they're nerfed. No, I genuinely mean like most of the items they printed are like at least on paper viable in the right setup, which like so many items for the first 8 sets and even last set, most of them were reprinted. They're just most of them are terrible.
Yeah.
Most of the items are just
they were either broken or bad.
They were either broken or terrible, right? Like it's like you had Popsicle and
which is
Fishbone
broken
Quill,
and right, all of
Workshop
these
and Dime, and then
Yeah.
after that you're like,
Yeah. Croquet mallet?
cool, yeah, like okay, and you just wasted slots in every set of like, well, here's the
Right.
trash item card that no one will ever play. And in this set, I've been so impressed with the design of items. They figured out a way to make these items have impact on the turn they're played, or like sustaining value in a way that is like appropriately costed. They're giving you different ways to interact with common like item support cards like Tamatoa, right? But in ways that they're obviously thinking about Tamatoa because they printed the Ink Runner, which does draw a card in play like Popsicle does, but they didn't give you a way to blow it up.
Right.
Like, and so it's like, oh, wow, if I want to loop, Ink Runners, I got to find a way to blow it up first if I want to just do this in blue. Okay, but then in other colors, they did give you ways to get resource extension and then blow it up and recycle it.
Yeah.
So they're like obviously aware of the potentially dangerous nature of item decks and what we saw near the end of the format with like the red blue items, the Oswald decks before they banned Popsicle. Like, so they know what they're doing with items, and it's just such a sigh of relief from me, who I just hated every set having to look at items and be like, trash, broken. What were they thinking?
Yeah.
So thank goodness.
Yeah. Well, that is our review of the big takeaways from Whispers in the Well.
Yep.
We're excited to open some new cards this weekend. But first, we have before we head out for the day, we have a new section that
So
we've
excited.
we've been scheming up, and it's called Hear Me Out. So this is where I bring in my Lorcana hot takes, because I always am like, I'm like, Ian is very dialed into the meta and like what cards are like, but I'm dialed into the like greater Lorcana sphere
Community.
and like sometimes you just see the craziest things. So I have all of these fun hot takes, and so we're gonna do this live on like most of these Ian hasn't seen, or if I've maybe talked
I'm
about
so
passing,
excited.
but like I'm gonna just bring these up and throw them at him and see what he says. So these are my hot takes. So first one's first.
Okay.
Hear me out. Tiana's back to being binder fodder.
Oh, yeah. I don't even.
Tiana's stock is plummeting.
Yeah, so we've talked about this. And it's funny. So I love that you added this because we have talked about this. This is like in a weird way.
We were talking about it because
my hot take almost. And it's funny because I've had conversations with people like they keep deck building. And they're like slapping Tiana and everything like Amber. And I'm like, cool. Like you can do that. Like Tiana is still a good card in a bubble, but contextually to everything else going on.
Yeah.
Tiana only got hurt this set.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Tiana was binder fodder ever since she came out until this specific
traded away
set. Oh, we don't have them still.
Yeah, we never got new ones because we traded them away. We got like one or two, and somebody else was trying to build a fun fringe deck a long time ago, and we're like, you just take them.
Yeah.
We're not going to use them.
I mean, and so like, I think I think people saw enough success with it that they will try to make it work.
Yeah.
And I believe that Aurora into Tiana is still going to catch some decks, even the ones with answers, by surprise to an extent. But there's just too much out there that punishes it. You've got the Headless Horseman that's going to banish it, if it has 2 attack or less, which it does. And obviously you've got existing things in Ruby, right? The Sisu is still in the game, and I think Ruby decks are going to be coming back. So if Ruby decks are coming back, why wouldn't they play the Sisu if Tiana's a problem, right? You've got in green, you've got Finnick, right? So if Tiana's ever a problem, green decks, especially tempo or aggressive ones, are just going to slap Finnick in, and Finnick's going to bounce it right back to hand.
Right.
You've got Spooky Sight. Spooky Sight don't care if its attack gets minus. Spooky Sight gonna ink your Tiana right to the inkwell.
Right to the inkwell.
And so there's just too much. I mean, I think Under the Sea it's like Under the Sea is going to be even more viable in a weird way. I think it sees less play, but it's viable in more decks because the more green decks are going to be viable. So there's a world where green, Emerald Amethyst control with cows, that we saw as sort of a French deck. Maybe cow control. That's what I like to call it. Maybe that, gets a step up in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, dogs, not just regular aggro dogs, but big dogs. You've got chroma dogs, sea dogs, big dogs, all of which are really solid, and all of which I think are the most impervious to the new effects of the board wipes coming out, right? Because they have so much hand disruption, right? So it's just I want nothing to do with Tiana the set, nothing.
You didn't really want anything to do with it.
I never really liked Tiana anyways, but all of my Amber Steel friends out there, I am sell, not literally, but just emotionally be prepared for those to just be right back in the binder. I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think that is being emotionally honest with yourself.
Yeah. Now this one is personal. This is hear me out. Tamatoa is fully back as Tiana stocks are crashing. Tamatoa is skyrocketing again. Thank God we got a playset when we did.
Yeah. So that one's funny because it's if anything, Tamatoa is the opposite experience of Tiana, which is that Tiana came out and was terrible and then has one set of glory and then is going to go right back to being terrible. And we're seeing Tamatoa was amazing for the sets that it was in play, so amazing. And then it didn't have anything that you wanted to recycle. And as soon as there's an item that you even vaguely want to recycle, boom, it's going to be right back in the metagame. It's such a good card. I think I want to you say fully back.
Yeah.
And I guess I
played 2 games cycling some woodchuck guidebooks, and I was like, this is it. We back, baby.
I think that is the best use case for it. I am excited for it. I think if I was going to poke I don't even want to poke a hole in it. I guess I just want to temper expectations. It will not be as good as it was with Popsicle. It's just not going to be, because the cards, we kind of mentioned this with the items, but they are obviously designing so that Tamatoa doesn't break the meta and become the new staple for every single blue deck ever. Right. So you have to work.
Items are still relatively niche, or are niche.
They require investment.
Yeah.
You have to build harder into items. Your Blurple deck in set 8 just ran 4 Popsicles. That was it.
Right.
But it played now it's okay, if I want to play blue red and I want to use Tamatoa's draw engine, I have to use Ink Runner because that's what draws a card. But if I want to use Ink Runner, I have to use something that can blow it up, because it doesn't blow itself up. So how am I supposed to get it back with Tamatoa if I can't find a way to blow it up?
With Bell?
You can blow it up with Bell, but again, now you're investing 4 copies of Bell in the deck, and maybe Bell's not quite enough, especially because in the late game you don't really want it. So now maybe you have to find another way to blow it up. Some of the red blue cards, or the one that I'm personally very excited about, and you can check out my list in the video on the YouTube channel, but Bell's favorite book, which lets you blow it up and ramp. So
cool.
Okay, you just have to build harder into it. So I it's back for sure. I think Blurple is the one that's going to use it the best, which great. Blurple did not need help on the card draw front, but here we are. But I think that unlike before where there was no reason to ever play blue without Tamatoa Popsicle, that's not going to be the case.
Right.
Yeah.
My next one is that Ravensburger isn't even hiding the fact that they have pushed Baja Blast to be the meta control deck now. Like, we've got control. We've got board wipes. We've got access to all of it with Baja Blast.
You got a lot of card draw. You got a lot of single target removal.
Yep. You've got 2 different types of board wipes because you can do the Prince Philip or Under the Sea. You've got Spooky Sight also.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're very susceptible to a Mowgli or a
Ursula
and Ludwig.
Oh, well, yeah. If you can,
bare necessities.
Yeah, if you can play blue amber, which I'm excited to try to make work, then yeah, Ludwig helps too. But like you're right. So there's answers out there for any one card. But I gotta say, like it's interesting. What was your phrasing there? Can you say it again?
Ravensburger isn't even hiding the fact that they're pushing that. They were like.
It definitely feels pushed. It's hard for me to decide if it's intentional or not completely. But I mean,
Malicious, Mean, and Scary could have been a different color.
Yeah, and I almost feel like it should have been red or maybe steel. Yeah, I mean, then you've also got Spooky Sight in blue.
Right.
They've got so many options. They have in the same way that like Blurple.
I don't know how you build 60-card deck. You've got too many answers for everything.
I mean, it's hard, right?
Do you play characters? I don't know.
But like, hear me out. Like in the same way that Blurple has way too many ways to draw cards, that like you have so many ways to draw cards, like you can just choose. Well, I guess I'll play a second star build. Well, I guess I'll play a Woodchuck guidebook build. Well, I guess I'll play 4 Demonas and 4 Hades. I mean, there's probably going to be a right way to do it, but you have so many options that it really lets you get super efficient and pivot as needed based on what the meta presents, which is something that like is often the limiter of a lot of decks. Like Ruby Steel has always been in a struggle bus because it only has one way to draw cards, or previously only had one way to draw cards, which is docks. Like that was pretty much it. You could play Tragic Beast, but like you're so desperate, and if those cards don't line up well into the metagame, like oh man, Tragic Beast doesn't line up well because Medusa's everywhere, or like like I don't want to dump my hand. I want to play bigger things because the bigger things are good into the meta. But if I play too many big things, I can't empty my hand for dock. Like that's what a lot of the limiting factors is for, or especially around draw and around removal, and where Blurple has so many options of removal. Baja has so many ways to remove things.
Yeah.
Especially because like the idea of like, well, you'll bounce things or you're welcome and shuffle draw too. Yeah. But none of that matters. It was
gnarly when you were bouncing things back to hand and then drawing cards off of Clarabelle. But now you're like, I'm just wipe your board. Bye.
Well, and you have both.
And so
you can have this. You can do in games where like you need to wipe the board because they're pushing you. You can wipe the board, and you have 3 different options. You can play Under the Sea. You can play Spooky Sight. You can play Philip, or in matchups that are slower where you don't need to go all in on those. You can lean into the like, oh, I'm going to get a Clarabelle down, and then I'm going to
or if you're trying to play around a board wipe, so you're keeping your hand a little bit bigger. Now you're helping them their Clarabelle draws.
And Clarabelle, I mean, I think it's funny because I don't think Clarabelle was really intended to be a Baja thing, but now it is. Yeah. But like they keep like you have John Silver and Hades and Basil.
Yeah.
You just hit after hit after hit. Yeah. For buffing these things, and I don't know if it's just it's definitely pushed.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to go all in and say Ravensburger is intentionally like making this meta because they have decided and ordained it to be meta.
We just know they love blue.
Well, they certainly love blue. The designers love blue. It's true. But I will say that like while that may not be the case, like it may just be the nature of the design philosophy. Like, hey, we didn't anticipate these things to go so well together, right? The reality is it's getting a little out of hand. I'll agree. I think
wonder if that means we'll get new bands.
Oh, I don't know if we're quite
Love
there
the
yet.
Drama.
So like Baja, yeah, well, I know you do. Baja,
I'm here for the drama.
Baja was not out of control this set. It wasn't. It was a bit polarizing, and it checked a lot of decks hard, which is a little concerning, but it had its problems too. I am a little worried about it now because it's always tough when the apex predator is a non-interactive, or not necessarily.
Right.
This isn't non-interactive, but it's like
Very
a
close.
no. It's not
At a certain
non-interactive.
point, it becomes non-interactive.
No, well, once all of your stuff is gone and anything you play on any given turn gets bounced,
Yeah.
that's the problem. So I will say, like, and again, if this becomes the best deck, it really isn't a very fun deck for people to play against.
Right.
I mean, I
saw what that did to Bucky.
well, we saw what it did to Bucky. We saw what it did to Hiram, right?
We
and
did.
so like that may be where we go. I'm not willing to go there yet.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go hot
We'll
take.
save that
I'm
for
gonna say
another
that's a
Hear Me
little bit.
Out.
That take is
It's a
just
little hot.
that takes just
It's a little
slightly too
spicy.
hot. It's a
All
little
right.
too hot. A little too hot.
This one's also a little bit spicy. That these new mechanics, the boost mechanic, the detective and the gargoyle taglines, they're cute and all, but they're not meta relevant.
Do you mean like individual cards or like as archetypes?
I think as archetypes, like a boost deck or a detective deck or a gargoyles deck. Like we've seen this in the past. Like they're cute and all. Everybody wanted to make puppies work.
Yeah, they do love to abandon like gimmicks.
Well, and the detective. I mean, we had detectives in set 1 and 2, and
yeah.
I mean, we're getting a Detective Mickey reprint, but
You know, I like the Judy Hopps detective
Yeah.
that lets you, when you play her and when she quests, I believe, you get to look at the top 3 or 4 cards for a detective put in your hand. I love a me and on play effect.
yeah,
And I like that. It makes you want to play detectives. I've not been super impressed with the quality of detective cards other than that. And I guess the detective Daisy that has the like ink suppression effect.
yeah.
But like that's tough because you really only ever want to shift it because it's only useful when it's exerted. I mean, it has
Right.
support, but like you don't want to play it and let it sit there a whole turn just to
Right.
get removed. So like you want to get the effect quickly, and there's only so many shift targets out there, right? So it's like okay, So I think boost. I agree. I think about boost. I agree that like it is cute. I think individual boost cards can be really good, but like if you're I've been working with Gibby on a Emerald Amethyst boost mechanic focused deck, and that
I could be wrong.
and like it is the best version of a boost centered strategy that I've seen. And I don't think it's going to be better than just a regular Emerald Amethyst tempo deck.
Yeah.
Like that's the tough thing. It's like you have all of these payoffs for cards that like have boost under them or have like a card under them, and they're just not as good as other cards.
Right.
Like there's a Magica, which is like I think it's like when you play her or when she quests or whatever, if you have a card with boost under them, you can move a damage counter. I'll just play Big Bell.
Yeah.
Or better yet, I'll play the Cheshire Cat, which is like it's like Big Bell repeatable earlier in the game.
Right.
Like it's not the same as Big Bell. Big Bell's still great, but like it just gives you another time in the game to be putting that effect into play.
Right.
But like those payoff cards just don't seem to pay off very well, right? So I think you're right. I do think gargoyles are weird because like there's so many gargoyles that will be good because they're stat sticks.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that the only Goliath payoff card is that. Sorry, not Goliath. The gargoyle payoff card is the Goliath,
Right.
the 4-drop that when you challenge the gargoyle you gain a lore. I think that's the only like payoff for like a tribal tag, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to see much play. I mean, maybe in Ruby Steel
Yeah.
you can get away with just jamming as many gargoyles, but I
maybe
I
there'll
don't
be
think
a
that's
time?
I think you're right. I don't know if that's. I think that's a really relatively reasonable take. That like,
I mean, we
have a history to show it that like
Pirates were only ever so strong. They
Yeah.
had some great moments, but they were only ever so
Jolly
strong.
Roger was so good, and they just never quite good
Never
enough
quite got there.
to capitalize on the
I
Jolly
had a
Roger.
lot of fun playing.
It was fun. I
It
mean,
was a grand old
and you know,
time.
it's okay for things to just be
Right.
fun, but you're right. Like it
I
is.
think the only one that honestly will ever be meta relevant is the allies. So like the ally tag.
of the gimmicks.
Yeah, of like kind of the gimmick type
Well,
things.
and the dual link ones are interesting because I think the damage movement in Ruby Amethyst, I'm still like I believe in it. It's efficient.
Yeah.
Mother Gothel slaps.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think overall, like a lot of the gimmicks are on life support. Lorcana is a game that rewards you for playing good stuff because
Yeah.
of the importance of the board.
Doesn't
And
mean
so
those decks aren't fun, so I don't want to like poo-poo them if you're just trying to have fun. But
from a competitive standpoint, I think you're right. I think that it's more likely that those cards don't pan out as a overall archetype, but maybe as individual cards. I really like this 2-drop Gaston with boost. I really like the Cheshire Cat with boost. I like the Judy with detective. And if you can just get just enough detectives in the deck, like you don't need to play the payoffs.
But this is my point.
I think you're right. I think individual cards can be good, but the entire archetype, as they've kind of pre-packaged to go together. Hey, here's a detective not starter deck, because they won't give you all the cards, but like here's a
right. If they did that,
here's a detective's theme.
That's
you can
a way to boost up starter decks.
and all of the less experienced players are going to go, oh, I want to play detectives.
Great.
In the same way that they saw the Grand Council and said, "Oh, I want to play aliens."
That's true.
It's like
Aliens is a tag.
Well, yeah, and there's a couple payoffs for it, but again, the payoffs are too hard to accomplish that they're not worth doing over generic cards that can do the same thing either better or more efficiently. So like that's the thing you have to weigh when you're looking at things that are highly demanding of synergy. It's like, how often will the requirements be true in a given game against a good competitor on a good deck?
Right.
So that's the downside, but I think that's fair. I would go so far as to say I agree with you.
Great.
Wow.
Well, I've got just one more before we wrap
One more?
up. So this is just one more.
All right.
And this is the, if you were paying attention to the drama around the DLC and
which drama?
Which drama? My hear me out is, if you're not playing min rarity at a big tournament, are you even taking this game seriously?
This one's so good. I love this one.
After playing against many all tricked out Blurple decks, I loved to see the pendulum swing on that one. Like,
well, I hate.
Do you even like this game? Do you even take it seriously?
Well, and I know you and I both are like, people should be allowed to play with their shiny cards, right?
Sure.
In theory.
In theory.
But I will say, shiny cards warp. Like they do.
And there's been a lot. Like there was drama leading up to the tournament where people were like, if I see somebody playing the promo Elsa Fifth Spirit, because they all came warped. I mean, we got one, and she's definitely a little pringly.
She a little bendy.
She a little bit. And so they were like, I'm calling a judge over right then and there. And so our world champion, who sort of, well, we don't have to get into the unfairness of his deck list being leaked round one, but specifically,
I thought that's where you were going.
Nope.
Okay.
That was maybe that. I'll save that for another one.
Yeah, that's a no.
But
I don't know what broadcaster thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, I get it. You're the one world champion, but that doesn't mean that you should have a handicap grade into the whole day. But I think watching what happened with his enchant, and you can't tell me that a deck with pieces of paper stuffed into your sleeves aren't more obvious. I mean, granted, you got a whole bunch of pieces of paper stuffed in there, but
yeah, it's different, obvious. But like when things are very warped, you can actually like manipulate it when you're shuffling.
Yeah, I believe it.
Like, and I don't know how. I just know that you can. Right. To your point, and you asked, if I remember correctly, if you're not playing min rarity, you're not taking the game seriously.
Right. You're just here to show off your shiny collection of cards. Your shiny cardboard.
It's funny because I know you're just being inflammatory.
This is my hot take.
But you're probably right. From my experience, that's actually probably right. I've played in enough other games where this is an issue. Pokemon is a big one. Pokemon shinies, which there's a lot of shinies in Pokemon.
Pokemon's got some fantastic artwork.
And a lot of cards just are always shiny. Like you can't get certain like EX Pokemon and stuff not shiny. And they are a problem. And it's like I have seen issues pop up. I've heard judges talk about how they threw somebody's deck out because, not literally in the trash, but I'm like, they tossed them and said, you need to find replacements for these or you cannot keep playing because certain cards were, Pringles, as we like to say. The problem, there's two problems with it. The first problem is it's never going to be consistent. Some people's enchanteds won't be warped, right? Some people's will be. And it's really hard on judges to go and be the bad guy that's like, no, this is warped to my level of discretion. And this is warped past my level of discretion. This is a little bit warped. This one's a lot bit warped. We're tossing you out and not you.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So that creates some issues with consistency in judging, which is already hard enough to do in general, right? It's hard enough to tell someone to replace their sleeves. Well, you didn't tell Jimmy to replace his sleeves. Yeah, but
Ian told me I had to replace my sleeves in a tournament he was judging. So
that's right. Well, I'm extra hard on. I have given my own father a game loss, so don't, never question my integrity.
A judge.
That's right. So I think that can be a concern. The bigger concern is that we should want players to want the highest rarity cards. We should, for the health of the game, for the profit margins of the game, tossing the world champions enchanteds out of the deck was really freaking dumb from a marketing and sales perspective.
They really did DKP dirty at the DLC.
They
I'm
really
not gonna
did.
lie.
DKP,
they're like, welcome world champion. Because you have
I
the
cannot
trophy.
tell. I have no idea. I haven't heard I'm not in on all the drama. Lindsay's the
I've
one
read
that's
the drama.
following all the drama. I don't know what judge thought that was a good idea, but it was not a good idea. And I just gotta the cards need to have value for people to chase them.
Yeah.
We, the competitive players that are not collectors, if the collector scene dies, or if it becomes the new standard for people to only play min rarity, and if the value of and if doing that tanks or even disrupts the value of the really rare cards, the collector market shrinks. And when the collector market shrinks, the sales shrink.
Yeah.
And when the sales shrink, we get fewer sets, and they're farther apart.
Yeah.
Or they're not tested as well because they have to make sacrifices. Or eventually the game dies. And I'm not saying that the game's going to die because DKP got his enchantments pulled. But I am saying that is a potential concern. You want your pretty cards with all the pretty art.
Play with your pretty cards at League.
Well, yeah, I hear you. I think it's just a bad look is the main thing. But I will also say, if this is going to be a thing, do what I did at the DLC.
Ian loves.
I played min rarity.
Ian loves a shiny.
I love me a shiny.
Ian loves
I took
to
my
trick out a
shinies.
shiny deck.
I took my shinies out to go to Milwaukee because I've played in Pokemon in Star Wars Unlimited. Here's a fun fact for you. In Star Wars Unlimited, meta cards that are rares or better usually.
Yeah.
The singles prices, the foils are often less money.
Wow.
Because the competitive players know we have to be above reproach.
Right.
And it's the same way that when you're preparing for a tournament and you're building your table manners or you're building, your process for shuffling, all of these things matter so that if you're in a game that's high stakes and you're nervous, you don't accidentally draw an extra card, right? Or if you're against a player who's a shark looking to call a judge on any little thing they can and give themselves an unfair advantage, your process is above reproach. Every time I laid out my deck, or every time I drew cards when I was playing dogs, and you draw a lot of cards, you filter a lot of cards, I would go, I'm tapping 1 to pay 1 from my tramp, which is discounted by 6. And I'm now going to draw 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put them in my hand. Now I'm going to discard 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I say that because it sounds pedantic. But all you need is that one time for somebody to see a way to convince a judge that you did something wrong. So anyways, and so it sounds...
Sometimes I think of it too as if you're playing against somebody who doesn't know how your cards work, then you're explaining how your cards work.
And I have one more thought on this. I'm not playing my enchanteds in a tournament ever, at a DLC especially.
Oh, yeah.
Because everyone is picking up your deck and shuffling it every round.
I'm not letting them touch that.
And I don't want to jack up because I've seen some rough shuffles.
I don't play with enchanteds because I rough I'm not gentle on things.
I
don't let me shuffle your enchanteds.
No, I had some opponents that picked up my deck and were not gentle. And it's okay because none of the cards in it really were worth much.
I told a story
totally
about how I threw my cards on the table.
Yeah, Lindsay dropped all of her cards
Don't
all
let
over
me
the
touch your
right.
enchantments.
So I don't know. So on the one hand, it sounds crazy, and it shouldn't be this way. But I don't think that's a hot take.
Yeah.
With the information we have now, like 2 weeks
You heard it
ago,
here first,
2
folks.
weeks ago would have been a hot take. But
true.
after this, if the highest profile player in the world can get half of his deck proxied
Friday night, it wouldn't have been a hot take. I mean, Friday night, people were running around the tournament.
Oh my God, we watched our
trying to
friend
buy
Chris like sell a couple enchanteds to people that were trying to bling out the rest of their deck.
Yeah, they were ready to fill them out. So
it's a little bit worrisome. But anyways, let's go ahead and wrap this up.
We've been here all night.
We have. Next
if you're
week,
still with us.
Next episode we're going to dig into some Whispers in the Well early performing deck lists. We'll take a look at some of the events, also what's working for us, because anecdotal experience is relevant. We'll figure out some other topics, but if you have a topic you'd like us to cover, especially something related to the, casual new player, or local environment experience, while we are all of those things, we are also competitive players as well. So like we try to, give our takes on all of those things. If you have any topics you'd like us to cover, questions you have for us or about the game,
hear me outs?
If
I'll hear you out.
You want to feed some hot takes,
I'll hear you out.
Lindsay will hear you out. Drop those in the comments below, and of course, we are really close to 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully, by the time this goes out, we will have gotten there. We're really close. Give us, if you haven't yet, give us a follow or subscribe on the YouTube channel. And if you're listening via the podcast, go ahead and subscribe or follow wherever that podcast is being listened to. And, if you're on iTunes, leave us a review. That really, really helps the algorithms as well. Share it with your friends. And until next time, good luck with your Whispers events. We can't wait to get in there and start ripping some packs, and we hope you have just as much luck. Yeah. Bye.
Adios.